Hey guys, today I thought we would go back and revisit the Mattel DC Universe Wave 12 Collect and Connect Darkseid. And really one of the reasons why I like going back and revisiting these figures are because basically most of these figures that we're doing throwbacks on are figures that I really liked from my collection and wanted to go back and give a second viewing to. And Darkseid being one of my personal favorites of the Collect and Connect pieces that we looked at, well, this particular video, you can go all the way back to November 12th, 2012. That was when I initially did the review of the fully finished Darkseid. So about 7 years or so later, we're going to take the tape measure here. And Darkseid stands almost 9 inches. He stands around 8 3/4 of an inch tall. Just to give you guys a size comparison as to how tall Darkseid is, we're going to take a standard. Seems to be the go-to for these videos. The Black Howled Batman, which is a standard height DC Universe figure. To give you also a size comparison, here he is next to Bane, which was also a Collect and Connect figure. We're going to move Batman just slightly to the side. We're going to take the two figures and put them back to back so you guys can see, and try not to bang the camera in the process. So you can see that, well, you know, if you look at them, they're not really that much, Darkseid's not that much taller than Bane. He's about another half head taller, give or take. He's certainly a lot broader of a figure, but he's really not as big as, you know, he's just, again, a little bit taller than the Bane here, which also is one of my favorite Collect and Connect figures. If you, by the way, have not seen the review, the re-review of that figure, by all means, check that out. So, Darkseid was part of the Wave 12 Collect and Connect wave, and yeah, it was really some of the figures from the DC Universe line, as I'm sure many people will admit to, are make or break. You, of course, got the core members that you always would want to be picking up, like your Jokers, your Batmans, your Supermans, your Wonder Womans. And then you got those little side characters where you're like, I'll pick it up if it means actually I can finish, say, for example, a figure such as Darkseid here. He does come with a couple of accessories, one of which being, I think this is the mother box, or switch the mother box, cast in silver here, or not cast in silver, but certainly painted in silver beautifully with some nice copper oranges and some metallic blues. He could hold it with the one hand that he's got here, and it just kind of fits into his hand like so. Or what you can also do too is take the box, switch it around, and there's like a little peg here on the back of his belt. That just attaches like so. That's actually where I had it when I had this guy stored away. One of the other accessories he comes with is an interchangeable hand, which has some beautiful gold coloring here. Some those coppers, the silvers, and your peg hole. Go ahead and just take the hand right cleanly off, and take the replacement hand and just pop that. You kind of have to do some wiggling, I have to admit, to get that properly onto the socket. Some pressure might also be required, but you can get the hand, which looks great. I love the gesture, but in all honesty, I think I prefer the gloved hand myself. But this gives you a great presence. Look at that. Oh, presence to Darkseid here. Go ahead and take the hand off, though. After all that effort, take the hand back off and replace it with the original gloved hand. One of the big draws to this particular figure is sculpt. While the paint is minimal, because it really only has some grays and blues making up the majority of the figure, really where it shines, though, is sculpt. Especially, I love the scaling here on his cracked skin. They've also done a great job, a superb job, of adding a darker gray within the recessed areas of those cracks. So, like, the cracks really stand out. More importantly as well, the face is glorious, a beautiful specimen of what Darkseid should look like. And one of the beauties, at least for myself speaking, one of the good aspects of re-reviewing these figures is hopefully the backdrop's a little bit better, the video quality is a little bit better, and the lighting is a little bit better. So it all adds up to what I personally think is a much better presentation versus the one I did back in 2012, and hopefully you guys agree to that. Again, some nice cracks going on there. So the darker gray airbrushed. I was going to say airbrushed into those cracked areas. Nice wrinkles there in the gloves where you can see that dark areas of the blue accented there in there as well. The wrinkles look great on the hands. You've got a little bit of panel lining going on there as well. Not as much in the chest area, but you do still get a little bit of the darker blue incorporated in there as well. Some silvers back down to the grays of the cracked flesh, and then down to his very large boots, which I might also add, they took the time to sculpt the underside as opposed to just making a flat, lifeless tread. Speaking of lifeless, unfortunately, this particular figure has suffered over the course of time. His leg is a little on the loose side, but not nearly as loose as the ankles, which is some of the problems that earlier DC Universe figures had, is just very loose ankles. And unfortunately, Darkseid has suffered from that. I do like the top cuffs, if you want to call it, of his boots. One would suspect that they are soft rubber, but actually the honest truth is they're a very dense plastic, so there's very, very little give going on there. There's the back of him. Nice wrinkles and stuff going on there. He was a very, might I say, rewarding experience when I finally got this guy fully built. Like, he was an instance where we had gotten a Darkseid before, but it's a far cry from what we ended up getting here with the Collect and Connect version. It's basically like the same thing with Bane. Bane was okay as a superheroes release, but far exceeded that when we eventually got him in the Collect and Connect wave of the Universe brand. By the way, as I'm playing with the head portion of him, his articulation, his head does move up and down, rotation all the way around. The shoulders hinge outward, as well as a rotation all the way around. And he has a swivel and hinge in the elbow, as well as your hand, or in this case, the glove. This pops off from time to time when you move it. At least it's here, and we'll just put that to the side. It doesn't have a waist swivel, but it does have an upper torso crunch, so you can get some very commanding presence pose from him. His skirt is soft rubber, soft plastic, so at least it does afford a little bit of extra hinging. You can rotate the legs to about there. Forward and back, a little more limited. Bend at the knee, nothing in the swiveling aspect. Can't swivel the legs or anything like that. Back and forth on the foot. Ankle pivot, more chalked up to just the looseness over time. It is there, I guess, if you want to technically count it, but it's just such disastrous, though. All in all, a great looking figure. One of my personal favorites. If I would say top 10 of the Collect and Connect figures, Darkseid probably would make within the top 5. Just off the top of my head, in no particular order, I would say like Bane, Darkseid, Chemo. Trying to think of other ones that really, where I'm like, oh, this is glorious. Can't think of other ones too. I mean, obviously I could go back and watch all the older videos to kind of say, oh, okay, yeah, him. Giganta I really liked as well. Apache Chief was pretty cool. Yeah, there was some really good ones. Obviously there were misses too. I think one of the worst ones is the Metallo, in my honest opinion. But Darkseid definitely would make my top 5 list of favorite Collect and Connect figures. All the more reason why I wanted to do a re-review of this guy. 5 years in the making, some additional lighting and some additional aesthetics for the new backdrop and stuff like that can lend itself to hopefully a much better presentation for this review. And you guys can let me know down below if you have a chance to ever pick up this guy specifically, or you know, what you thought of the original DC Universe figures. It kind of like was, to me, like one of the periods of my collecting days, which I really enjoyed doing. I really loved looking forward to picking up new DC Universe figures. And while they still have the multiverse figures, I think it's kind of not in its... It was not in its peak moment where the DC Universe line, when the DC Universe line was popular, was a good time to be a collector. And luckily, things such as Darkseid still have survived in my collection. A little loose for wear, unfortunately, but he still has held up in my collection. Today, though, we were revisiting the Mattel DC Universe Wave 12 Collect and Connect Darkseid. First review, of course, back in 2012. If you guys like these videos, these little throwback revisits, let me know down below. And maybe if there's other figures that you'd like to see me re-review, let me know down below as well. Speaking of down below, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel yet, hit that little subscribe button down below. There's also that little tiny bell, as I've mentioned in a couple of videos now, where if you select that, there's like a little box that pops up, or there's a little option that tells basically you, the viewer, that there's new videos on this channel. So if you hit that, you'll never miss future videos coming onto this channel where later on you're like, I didn't realize he posted this video. And that's because unfortunately that little notification bell hasn't been checked off. As always though, thanks for watching guys. See you next time.